Gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Fuente and Merrifield present Meet the Professor. Hello, world.
Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have an amazing Sunday for you today. The one and only guest of honor, Mr. Craig Cask. Craig, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jeremiah. Dude, everybody says that I've watched these shows, the intro. How does the juice not get going with an intro like that? I love it.
Well, listen, it's a huge pleasure, Craig, and it's an honor for us to host you today. Jose didn't stop rambling on about it, so there must be something interesting for us in the making.
Well, I hope you're a very skilled interrogator because it's going to take a lot to find it.
Jose, how you doing?
Craig, good. First of all, Craig, it's a pleasure to see you. We've been friends for about 20 years with companies I've worked with. I've done a lot of events with Craig, and I have the utmost respect, and that's why I told Jeremiah and Carlita that we should bring in Craig Cask, because with him, we're going to have a great conversation. Craig has a lot of experience, and we're going to go through a lot of details with him, and it's I know a lot of people are tuning in. I tagged all of his friends, so I think they're going to be in there. So
let me tell you something, Professor. It didn't take much convincing because the minute you said Craig, everybody said yes. And I have to say, Craig, I had Cynthia Fuente on the line many times, and she was just so thrilled that you're coming on the show today. She told me that you guys go back since you're late teenagers. So that's God knows what happened then.
I've got a great story about that. But listen, guys, Melanie, we're up against a big Sunday. We got NFL, we got the Augusta, we got the Masters on. So let's do what we can, all right? Make it interesting.
Melanie, how are you? She's having some technical problems today, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I'm good.
Oh, she's good. There's sound coming out of Melanie. Wonderful.
Craig, you were... Craig, were you born in North Carolina?
I was born in a great tobacco city in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. My grandfather worked for R.J. Reynolds. My dad retired from R.J. Reynolds. So yeah, Winston-Salem. I'm in Charlotte now. That's about an hour and a half north.
Craig, we just had somebody knocking on the door who wants to say hi to you. Carlito, welcome to the
Craig,
show.
what's up? Hey,
Carlita.
bro. Hey, good to see you, my brother. Always good to see you.
Good to see you, man. Every time I see you, I smile. The good life, right?
Yeah, it's a good smile, my friend. Absolutely. It's a smile of many, many years of respect and friendship that go way beyond cigars, and that's, to me, it's very, very special. And it goes back to your dad and everything, and just, memories of Fred Zanaboni. And the first time I started visiting smoke shops outside of the Cuban community, which was pretty cool. And I still remember, Craig, I was shaking, nervous as heck. I hope no one would ask me a question or I didn't have to open my mouth. And I kept pushing Fred Zanaboni in front of me to introduce me and everything. So,
well, you and I knew each other at an age where we didn't even know what we didn't know, right? And we had to rely on one of those pros to teach us, right? So
true, my friend.
It goes back a long time. You and I have been to war together, and we've been back to back in fist fights, right? with the government. So
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. And one of my proud moments is when we went to visit the FDA, and I'm happy someone, had the imagination to take out a camera and take a photo of us together and everything with Glenn Liu, with Jorge, everybody, Lito. It's one of those photos that I really cherish.
yeah, it was a productive day.
I don't cherish the moment, though. I don't cherish being there. Believe me, I don't. I wish I never had to face it. It was a tough decision when you have to be in a room with Sid Gottlieb and with Gottlieb and the FDA and what's his name, Mitch. Oh my God, yeah. I tried to write that name off my memory. Mitch Zeller. But I tell you, it's and then you have a lot of these people that are there that I'm sure they're the nicest, most sophisticated, educated people. But they just look at you blank. They have no idea what you're talking about or what product you're presenting in front of them or the history. They're just lost. You get that impression, but it's a memory. And slowly I'm learning how to play the game. You've been playing the game much longer than I have. It's a tough game.
I picture those guys, they're all bureaucrats, and we're talking about our livelihoods and our family business and what we do day to day. And I picture these guys have a dozen of those meetings a day, and they're thinking about the next thing, and they have they appear to be interested, but a lot of times you and I will talk passionately and you get a blank stare back. So it's not easy, but you got to do it, man. You got to stay engaged.
Yeah, we definitely plan to, Craig, my brother.
Right.
We plan to. Back to back.
All right, man.
Craig, do you remember your first premium cigar that you smoked?
I do, man. I was, I think my first cigar was probably right leaving for college. My first cigar, I watched some of these shows. I knew that question was coming, and it was a pretty quick answer for me. It was an H. Upmann Lonsdale. That was my first cigar. That would have been in the right around 80, 81. And I was a teenager then, but that was my first cigar. And I believe I'm thinking from memory, Jeremiah may know, I think that cigar had a Cameroon wrapper, but that was the old H. Upmanns in the late 70s, early 80s. And just a fabulous cigar at the time, but that was my first cigar.
Yeah, at that time, probably the H. Upmann, still the H. Upmann vintage. They still use a true Cameroon wrapper on it. When did you start working with your father, with Jim?
When I got out of school in the mid 80s, my dad, as I mentioned earlier, worked for RJR and had a career at RJR, and he had a cigar store in Winston-Salem on the side. He loved pipes, and I heard the nice show you did with Gary Pesh. I thought Gary did a great job, and Gary was exactly right. In the 80s, mid-late 80s, man, it was all about the pipe business, right? Cigars were an important component, and we were predominantly in the pipe business and sold cigars also. And so my dad had that business on the side as a hobby. When I got out of school, my senior year, he said, there's an opportunity to buy someone out in Charlotte. And so he said, do you want to do this for a while? I'll help you get started, our family business. So when I graduated, I moved to Charlotte, and we opened the business here. And I thought I'd be in this industry 3 or 4 years, and then do something else. Like all of us, once you're in this industry, you're bitten by the bug. And here I am, 30 years later. So it's been a fun run. I love what we do. And but that was kind of how we got started. And you could see the long-term growth in the Carolinas was going to be in Charlotte. It was an explosive city, a progressive city, a banking city. And so we kind of concentrated our growth here in Charlotte. We have stores at the beach, at the coast. And so, but yeah, it's been a great run, man. Charlotte is the kind of city that hides a lot of business mistakes because there's such a volume of people moving here. And it's really a great place to be an entrepreneur.
Without a doubt. Craig, you have been, when it comes to the fighting of the FDA, big supporter of CRA, smoking bans, taxes. And you and I have talked about it the same way I've talked with a lot of the representatives of different states. It's always 4 or 5 people, even if you have 60 or 70 stores in a state that do all the work. How does it feel for you that have carried so much and Gary and Scott and Shorty and Virginia. How does it feel to have all that weight and all that responsibility on that?
Well, listen, man, it's not weight. It's what I talk to people. There's so many great people around the country, man. You could go around and the thing I love about our industry, I'll have a customer in and they'll say, "Man, I'm going to be in Houston, or I'm going to be in San Antonio, L.A., Seattle, Portland, New York." And I always am happy to talk to them and say, "Guy, you got to go see my friends at X," because there are so many people that are engaged. It doesn't, Jose, it doesn't feel like weight. I remember when I was really young, and I know Jeremiah is in Basel, and back in the early 90s, I went to Basel with Davidoff as one of the 40 appointed merchants. And I met all these people around the corner. I remember thinking, wow, these people are all engaged in the industry. I want to be engaged in the industry. And it was like an MBA course in premium cigars, hanging out with the best retailers in the country. And I was very young then. And those people were active. And so I came back and I thought, I want to be in this business. I want to grow my business. And the only way to grow the business is to know the players in the business. And so for me, being active, being visible, going to trade shows, meeting the people that make great product, no matter where they are in the channel, it grows your business. It plugs you in. It educates you. And it enables you to do work on behalf of the industry. But like all of us, as Carlito and I were just talking, it doesn't feel like work. You're working hand in hand with people that care, and you're trying to, I'll tell you, my mantra is I want to leave anything better than I found it. And so as I pass through these trade associations, all I want to do is leave it better than I found it and hand it off to someone else younger that's coming up with good energy and good intellect.
That's correct. Craig, this is a question that we've asked some of your colleagues, Gary, and also our good friend Dave Garofalo. Why do you think so many shops fail?
Yeah, I think I heard you ask Gary that question, and I thought, how would I answer it? And people look at what we do. They come in my stores and they think, wow, this is easy. You get to sit around, you get to smoke cigars, you get to hang out, you get to meet all the personalities, and you really do. But I'll tell you, for 30 years, I mean, I've worked 6 days a week, but it doesn't feel like work. My wife will tell you, I get excited every day, and I think you can't go on autopilot. Every day, you got to be thinking about your business. You've got to, back to the engagement thing, you got to talk to your reps, you got to talk to the regionals, you got to talk to the cigar makers. And I think people who don't stay engaged, and for me, I think you got to be at a trade show, you got to go to some industry event every year, you got to stay plugged in, you got to learn what's hot, what's not. And a lot of my education comes from talking to other retailers. And I think if you're not engaging with your peers, and you got so many guys you've mentioned. Certainly, Gary, you've got, the Rumbos in Texas. All the retailers in Virginia. They're great people there. In Florida, you got Abe, you got Jeff Borshwitz, two of the best guys in the country. I think Garofalo is probably the best promoter I've ever seen. But every time I'm with any retailer, I'm constantly listening, asking questions, and I'll learn something every time I talk to these guys. And if you become complacent, there's a lot of apathy in our industry, as you guys know. People that just, I don't know, don't stay engaged. But for me, I think, Jose, the reason they fail is they're not changing. You gotta constantly learn. You gotta constantly tweak your business. And this is not an investable business. Our business is an owner-operated business. And if you're not living and breathing it every day, absentee management in retail does not work. So you got to be engaged. Sorry, long answer.
No, Craig, very, very true. Because that I've been doing this for a while, and I have visited, I don't know, 1,600 shops.
Yeah,
all over the country. So
yeah.
I've seen it all. I don't want to get into that.
Dude, I can
Craig,
tell you, the minute you walk in a store, if you're in this industry, in under 5 minutes, you know if they're in the game or not. You can tell. They're clear indicators, right? So you can tell immediately.
Yeah, let's not go into the things that really tell you that something's wrong.
That's it.
Anyway, Craig, you have been the president of the IPCPR, and you have been also the president of the TAA.
Yeah.
I did correct my post on Facebook, and a big supporter of the CRA. But I'm going to ask you something. PCA for next year, God willing, the vaccine, and we're ready to travel and everything is more or less settled. What do you think we have to do, or the PCA has to do for next year to attract more people? Because it's a big question mark that a lot of retailers ask us, and it's been one of the things that's come up to us on our feedback. Ask Craig his feedback, his thoughts on the show for next year.
Yeah, guys, it's a challenge, right? It's a challenge. It's a challenge for trade shows in general, right? The trade show industry has a headwind, and you throw COVID on top of it. There are additional challenges. There's a lot of everything's digital now, everything's electronic, and I think certainly there are trade shows that are going to go away. There are trade shows that could potentially be dinosaurs. So I think our industry is different, and I think we have to come together. This industry, the premium cigar category, has to come together once a year because we have so many government challenges. We've got to educate each other on what the events of the day are, not only at the federal level. We all talk about FDA and federal, but at the state level. And I think as we look forward, many states are approaching bankruptcy. They're upside down on the budgets. They're going to be looking to capture tax and the sin taxes, right? Alcohol, tobacco. And so this industry needs to come together for multiple reasons. We need to come together for the state and federal issues. We've got to come together for interaction, peer interaction. We've got to learn from each other. We got to educate each other. New product releases, and obviously the project with Carlito and George that they're working on. We've got to have more things like that for people to physically be at the show to be able to capture. And we got to do business together. But to your question, what does PC have to do? I think the product's got to evolve, right? The same way retail, I mentioned retail has to evolve. The product we bring to market today should be a very different product than it was in 1990 or 2000 or even 2010, right? You got to find out what can we do? And I think it's a challenge. I'm no longer in that boardroom. There are very capable people there. And I know we're trying to get manufacturer involvement in the room, but guys, I know where the bodies are buried, and we can talk about a lot of that, but I think the show, I want to encourage retailers and manufacturers. We've got to have some product where we come together once a year to interact, because if we don't, it's another point of erosion for our category. And so it's up to all of us to fix, and I know people are working very hard on it. It's challenging.
It is challenging.
It's very
Ernie.
challenging, my friend, but it's fixable. It's fixable. And just as you say, I listen to you speak, and you've always been right on target. And William Cooper, welcome, William, Mr. Cooper. He's listening. He said you've been such a big contribution and a pillar of the industry, and I agree 150%. And things do change, and maybe from a trade show it becomes a summit where all the retailers come together with manufacturers, and we share our problems and our victories, and we find solutions. And I totally agree. We have to really unite, and the manufacturers have a product only available to the PCA members who support, and they support the trade show and come to the event. Those should be the products sold only, not 2 weeks before and not 4 weeks after. Should be sold only to those attendees that come to the show. And I really believe that if we change things, as you say, not change for improvement, and the manufacturers are serious, and we come together, and the retailers give us support, I have no doubt in my mind that we could make this very, very fruitful for everybody in a win-win, because I don't see it as a trade show, a selling show. I see it as a summit where the minds come together, where people come to support each other, where people come to unite, where it's one big family reunion. And I think you're absolutely on the right track. Craig, and please, man, I tell you, don't give up. I appreciate people like yourself that keep fighting every single day behind the scenes, you know, and back of the curtain. You're like the Wizard of Oz. So
Well,
I want to thank you publicly.
I want to thank you, Carly. I want to add one other thing. I think you know, a lot of people like to talk about what's negative with a cigar, with a business, with a retailer, with a trade association, and you know, and I read a lot of things on social media, and I know a lot of people. You know, the board's volunteers. I know there's some professionals that work for behalf of PCA, IPCPR. There's Carlito, as you know, you're very active, advising the board and being in the boardroom. But listen, everybody says, what can we do? And what you can do is renew your dues with your association. And if available, I know a lot of the members are single store operators. It's hard to travel, but if possible, you need to come to the show. And I sat in that boardroom for many years, a decade. And you know, as a nonprofit association and the flow through income from the show, from membership dues, all of that is going to fight all the issues, right? Not only federal and state. And I know 40% of the budget is for federal and state, and then when you layer in the staff that's hired to fight for these issues, it's 50% of the budget. And so that's where that money goes. Anytime I see an event or a trade show that is promoting the tobacco business, I'm all for it. TPE, great show, nice guys there. I think Sergio Montalvo is one of the best guys in the industry. The Casars, good guys. But I'll tell you, there's no money. That's a for-profit situation. There's no money going to fight for the premium cigar category. The dollars that PCA generates are going to keep people in business. And CRA has been very instrumental in partnering with PCA to spend these reserves. And I know we've spent millions of dollars. And if this trade association goes away, CRA, Carlito, if your erosion starts to come without support from retailers and consumers, guys, there's nobody fighting the fight, right? For exclusively the premium handmade category. So if you're a retailer somewhere, you're sitting out there, support your association. Come to the show. We need you.
Absolutely. Well said.
I agree 100% with that. Craig, COVID-19 has affected a lot of retailers. I mean, I talk, even though I'm in Europe, working with Jeremiah and working for Fuente, you know, you see on social media, you have friends that you've known 15, 20 years plus. So what I have seen, what the people have told me, that people who are really good retailers, they're not complaining. The ones that run their shops in a different way, struggles, don't pay their bills, don't know how to promote. The store doesn't look that great. And what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's been a very interesting year. You know, back in we were closed here in the Carolinas. We were closed 6-8 weeks back in March, April, and we went to a curbside model, certainly mail order, curbside on the retail side. You know, I have a wholesale side where we're in grocery and golf. That business spiked immediately because more people weren't going out. They were eating, so they're buying more groceries. From a retail standpoint, you know, those 6-8 weeks we were doing curbside, that business, promoting to our loyal consumers, that business was solid, right? But then when we reopened in late April, I'll tell you, it's been an amazing year. I know mail order is up significantly. I know brick and mortar, the business is very good. But I agree with what you said, Jose, that, you know, the good retailers, it's been a very good year. I talked to, you know, our network of retailers I spend time with, probably 20, 25, 30 retailers. We're all talking at a time. I think the bigger worry for the rest of the year is getting product, right? Back in April, May, I went through a period where I told my team, let's conserve cash. Let's look at our inventory levels. Let's make sure as people what they want to buy, we've got. Let's move through the inventory we've got. Let's promote the inventory we've got. And then all at once it flipped. And as COVID started to trickle down to Latin America and we started to worry about product levels, we started to realize we need to load in product. Now, a lot of the retailers I talked to where business is solid, they're promoting, they're doing a curbside model as well as in-store retail. I think business is as good as it's been. I know certainly north of 2019. I'll tell you, May through October, most everybody I talked to has increased over the prior year. And I think looking forward, the runway out, I think fourth quarter is going to be solid. I just hope inventory keeps coming. So, It's actually been a very good year, Jose.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those out there who have been following this show since the beginning, we used to have a pretty cool game on here, which was called Nail the Professor. And I think we're going to bring it back today. Melanie, you want to explain the rules?
All right, guys. So all you have to do is put your questions inside of the comments, or no, we're not in that anymore. So just put your questions in the comments, and we'll pick them out, and we'll see who can nail the professor. And whoever nails the professor gets a bobblehead.
A bobblehead. Amazing.
Only
Jose,
one.
you ready to get nailed?
I get nailed all the time, so it's no big deal.
No, you have to send me that image. It has to be my screensaver. Believe me.
There we go. Let's put it back on.
I love it.
All right, guys, start sending your questions on Facebook, and what else is on there? YouTube or whatever it is. There's a comment section. Just put in your questions. Make sure it's real nasty, because we want to make sure that we nail Jose today.
Also, add the hashtag nail the professor, and then you'll get bonus points.
Ooh, bonus points. And Craig, if you want to have a go at it, please be my guest.
Okay.
Craig,
Professor, but you know.
Craig, the same way we asked some of your colleagues, why do so many shops fail?
Yeah.
What's your 2 cents on? I'm not gonna say a lot of companies fail, but why do companies fail?
Retailers?
Oh no, cigar companies.
You know, I think listen, you know, I've bought cigars a long time, and I want to tell you my hit ratio, because we started tracking. We have a local cigar club, and so what we started doing 15 years ago was, when we would go to the trade show, on average we would buy 20 to 25 new brands, right? And a new brand might be a line extension for Carlito, maybe you call it Magnum Rosado. That would be a new brand. And so on average, we buy 25, and we started tracking it 15 years ago. And 1 year later, how many were still on the shelf 12 months later? And on average of the 25, our hit ratio is right at 50 to 55% over 15 years. So what that means is 1 out of 2 new things we buy at a trade show 1 year later, half are already gone and passed through the channel. And consumers will tell you very quickly what the winners are. And so when you say, why do companies fail? I have found that a beautiful cigar, a great cigar in a great box with a great name, great package, great price, doesn't mean it's going to win in the market. It means it has a chance. And if any of those things are weak, those chances are much lower. But if all those things are on point, that cigar has a chance to sell. And guys, I'm going to tell you, it is not an exact science. Doing this 30 years, you would think, man, you mean 1 out of 2 things you buy never work? Yeah, that's right. Because you don't know. The consumers tell you. We put products in people's hands. We encourage them to try it. And, you know, I think a lot of companies break down if you got to have all the things I just told you, along with good marketing. You know, good marketing these days is, you know, some of the print publications, some of the online media publications, the bloggers that are doing a great job discussing products they like and promoting some of those products. I know Will was on. I think Will's one of the best, and there are many others that are well, not many others. There's some others that I certainly read weekly. But I think these guys educate a lot of retailers and a lot of consumers, which is a great asset for our industry. So you got the marketing machine going, but then you also the people in the field. You know, you got to have that guy that's coming in. For me, as a multiple store operator, you know, a lot of guys want to see me in my office and talk about their cigars. You know, man, great, but I'm not the guy on the front line a lot of times. You got to know my managers. You got to know my hourly people on the front line. Those guys are influencers. And I think when all those things are clicking properly, the quality of the product, the packaging, the pricing, the story, the marketing, the messaging, and frontline people selling for a manufacturer that get it all the way down the channel, then you have a pretty good chance to succeed. And unfortunately, there's an expense to do with that. A lot of companies maybe are undercapitalized, but I see that, when that happens, I can look around. I'll tell you, there are companies, guys, that, I'm on this Eastern corridor. A lot of people work Miami, Atlanta, Charlotte, DC, New York. So a lot of people come through here. You'd be amazed how few people actually ask for the sale. Major companies will come through here. The reps will come in. How you doing? Let me give you a cigar. Good to see you. I'll see you in another month. Never ask for the sale. So there's so many variables, man, Jose. But when all that works, man, a company like Fuente has been around so long, obviously they're doing a lot right. So, but any of those weak links in the chain will affect the potential success of the company.
Definitely. And the other thing also that throughout the years I've had the privilege to do at that club that you have there are a lot of events. Now, because of COVID, we don't know how long it's going to be really till we have that. So let's say pandemic continues 3, 4, 5 months,
Yeah.
April maybe. So what are your thoughts on that, on events, on virtual, things like that?
Well, we're a very event-driven company. I mean, traditionally, we don't do events in January. We don't do events in December. So, February through November, we're doing a monthly event. We love outside events. Unlike a lot of retailers, I love events outside the store. I love singular events with a manufacturer. I love to be at a brewery in the open air outside. The climate's temperate here in the Carolinas. So I love to be outside with large events. And they're very successful. Cynthia Fuente was in. We had a great event with her and with the JC Newman guys. But all that stopped in 2020. Twice a year, we will buy out a great restaurant like the Palm, and we'll have 200 people max at a dinner in a restaurant. We did that with George Padron last November prior to COVID. So when you say what is going to happen going forward, Jose, I worry about that because I think interacting with consumers is not about the sale that day. It's about the relationship. And we have to earn the right for any consumer to buy a cigar from us. What we want to do is expose people to the culture, expose them to the manufacturers, expose them to the product, let them taste it, let them sample it. And when they think of buying a cigar again, they're coming back to us to buy it. So virtual events, I know a lot of guys are doing a pretty good job with virtual events. I've looked at it. I have not done one yet, believe it or not, even being event driven. So if this thing carries on, I'm going to have to do virtual events, but I have this faith that maybe not first quarter, but by second quarter 21, we're back to doing our events, probably open air, outside, socially distanced.
You should look into it because I can tell you we've done a lot of them and they've been very, very successful. But
Okay.
you'll figure it out. And if you ever want to do anything with us, I think you're good friends with Carlito. I'm not sure about that, but I think you guys are good friends.
Oh, yeah. That would be an honor. That'd be great.
I take the back seat. Cynthia's the one that's driving.
Okay. All right, Professor, we got some.
In Charlotte, one of the most beautiful places in the world, Charlotte, North Carolina. I love it.
We got some questions coming in for Neil the Professor. Professor, we're going to do it this way. We're going to give you 15 seconds max to answer the questions. Somebody's going to try to nail you on this. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So let's pull them out. Oh, this is a bad one. This is a bad one. All right. All right, let's go. Here we go. All right, can you see your screen? Alex Noel. How you doing, Alex?
Yeah.
You're well, my brother. It's nice to see you. All right, Alex says, Jose, texture versus priming. Is a lower priming always a thinner texture, or is there exemptions, and why?
That's an
15
easy one,
seconds.
but of course, because it's, the higher the priming, the thicker the leaves, because that's where the sun is hitting it, and that's why you have ligero, viso, and seco, and you have volado. So even volado is practically like paper. Seco will have a little bit more cuerpo, body to it, but of course, it's where the sun hits you. Even if it's with the cloth, with cheesecloth, always the top leaves are going to be much thicker. They're going to have more oils to it than the lower one. So Alex, you're not going to we're going to eventually send you the bobblehead But Alex, come on. I know you have a good palate.
All right. Let's find another one. Oh, this one is easy. Come on, Professor. All right. This is from Steven. All right. You got to complete the sentence here. It says, Jose, complete the puzzle. If it's not beep, it's not beep.
Of course, if it's
Steven.
not Cameroon, it's not Marifel. Come on.
It's the other way around. You almost nailed you there.
Yeah.
Very good. This one here, oh my goodness. This one just might win, but this is a nasty one. I don't think this one should qualify. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, look at this. All right, Professor, what came first, the leaf or the seed?
No hablo inglés, but probably the seed.
All right, well, let's keep that in our back pocket because that's probably the worst question or the best I've ever seen. One of the two. Let's see here. Actually, Stephen, you're doing good with the nasty questions. Look at this. What was the make and model of Carlito's first car? And actually, you're right, Stephen. This was actually said on the show.
I want to say that was in
I wasn't born at that time when Carlito had his first car.
a.
You know what? Ladies and gentlemen, I think Stephen just won this one.
Yes, he did.
I think Stephen took it over. Stephen, if you could please get in touch with Melanie, and we're going to send you
You know,
a very
it goes to
special
show you,
bobblehead.
the conductor who's conducting the show is not always listening to the show.
I am.
You guys talk about that one on Fuente Friday. It wasn't on this show.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was thinking.
Don't, Melanie, don't give him a way out, Melanie. We talk
Don't
about
put him under the bus.
Listen. Craig,
Yeah.
CRA, without a doubt, has played a very important part. And, we had Glenn Loop on the show. Glenn Loop, from day one, I've always supported him. All my seminars, everything, I always would ask everybody, are you a member of CRA? And even though he's leaving, he will always be in our hearts. What are your thoughts of how we can get more people to join? Because I think I'm not going to say we've reached out of things to do, but we've all tried very, very hard to sign up people at events. The pack, the 2 cigars that we give up, we talk about the CRAs, the last line of defense. Your thoughts on that? How do we get more consumers to really sign up?
Yeah, man. I think I heard Will talk about this last week on what he thought one of the problems were, and I agreed. Retailer engagement, man. I think it's got to flow through the retailers. I think it's CRA is a phenomenal organization. It's done so much good work, for so many years, raising money. But it's hard. Maybe that model's got to be tweaked, the membership model. But I think engaging the retailers to engage the consumers, I think is key. And I think maybe as PCA evolves, maybe part of that is the consumer component. How do we work with CRA, with member retailers to drive their consumers to join CRA? I think without retail engagement, and a lot of retailers, you got to dangle some carrot out there. We got to figure out how do we get the retailers to care about signing up their consumers. And Jose, I think that's the key. I think Glenn did a great job. There's no one better with a microphone than Glenn Loop. I think he's like a Southern preacher, man. You give him a microphone and things light up. But I think it all starts at retail.
No, I agree, because I'll tell you, traveling 38 weeks out of the year and visiting retailers. And the question that really pissed me off when I would bring CRA up, I don't have time. I mean, you don't have time, really? Don't you know it's your livelihood? Do you know how easy it is when the state comes up with a new tax for you just to get those people? They only have to put in their zip code, and it goes to your congressman, it goes to your senator, it goes to your state official. To be honest, I see a lot of negativity from a lot of retailers. The same way there's a lot of retailers that are passionate about it. They have the booklets. they have when they have the events that get people to sign up. But there's people that it's like this is not my case.
Yeah, Jose, it's frustrating because we all know how much money we've spent, right, through the trade associations. And, let's say that if PCA has 2,000 members and the dues are what, 400 a year, you can do the math on how much money that generates. In the trailing 12 months, we spent over $1 million just on the federal legal challenge. The money CRA spends, whether it's at the federal level to keep things going. PCA also doing work at the state level. So I think if everybody does a little, no one has to do a lot. And if a retailer can't come to the show, but he could still pay his dues and maybe sign up 20, 25 consumers a year, he's doing a little. And when all those little things add up, we're doing a lot as an association, whether it's CRA or PCA or some of the others. You just everybody has got to care, or man, this thing's going to end. We got to keep it going. We got to push it, and we got to stay engaged with CRA.
That is absolutely.
And let me add to that. I think it's not only important, but it's everybody's responsibility out there. And I hope everybody's listening very carefully, whether you're a retailer or a consumer. But for you guys out there who are consumers, you got to play your part as well. Everybody has to step up to the plate. You walk into your retailer and you make sure that you sign up, make sure that he's signed up, make sure that everybody's signed up. Whether you're in the United States of America, you sign up to the CRA or another organization that can help lobby. Whether you're in the rest of the world, stay tuned. We're setting something up for you guys out there as well. But in all cases, everybody out there needs to fight the fight. Everybody out there needs to get together. Everybody out there needs to raise their fists. And we need to fight to save our industry. We need to fight to make sure that your rights as a consumer, our rights as consumers, our rights as cigar connoisseurs, as cigar aficionados, as cigar lovers, our rights are preserved. And that can only be done if we voice. It can only be done if every single one of you out there voices his concern, voices his ambition of being able to continue enjoying a product, an art, which has been out there for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. It's very important.
I agree. Craig, that we got a favorable ruling from the judge, which gives us a small battle, gives us a small victory, but that we do not win the war. So if you were to give some advice to the companies, to the owners, how should we approach? Because I've said it on many shows, a lot of people have their personal agenda, they have their own egos, they have their own, whatever you want to call it, but we're not unified. And even though Carlito has said many, many times, we have to forget about the past. But I would like to hear your thoughts on the unity that we should all have towards this to keep fighting the FBA.
Yeah, man, you said it well. We won a battle, not the war. There's more. We still have this potential option 2 exemption. There's some other filings before the court. I think it's scary from a cost standpoint. The industry is not unified. Look, we've got small mom and pop brick and mortar retailers. We've got the mail order category here. We've got family owned manufacturing, and we've got manufacturing. We've got some tremendously large companies, and we don't always line up on policy. We all care about the premium cigar category, but listen, there are some very smart people that may have different policy. A lot of that is blown back on the association with people not attending the show or not committing to attend the show in 2020 before it was canceled. Listen, those guys running those companies are very smart people. And if I were running those companies, I'd probably be I'd want to be doing the exact same thing they're doing. They're protecting their portfolio. But for the small part of this industry that is focused solely on premium cigars, we've got to do our thing, and we've got to hold point with messaging. We've got to listen. Going for the premium exemption gives the chance to maybe not quite get there, but get some regulation we could live with. I think we did have a good win with SC. There's still some issues out there that we're fighting for, but You know, Jose, I don't think we're ever going to get everyone on the same page. I just think it's probably unrealistic.
Carlito?
I was muted. I totally agree. It's going to be very, very difficult, but we're moving forward. And I think that the retailers must understand. I do as a manufacturer, and I know that the CRA members understand that the key to the protection of their rights to enjoy a premium cigar truly falls on the hand of the consumers. Because there's a handful of family manufacturers, brick and mortar. You look, maybe several handfuls. And several handfuls or much more, obviously, brick and mortar family retailers who service the consumer and provide them with all the relationships, everything, the experience that is so important. But I think that the retailers are the key to reach out to the consumer. The consumer is the key to being able to successfully protect the rights to be able to enjoy a legal product that everybody in the world loves so much. As Jeremiah said, as everyone has said, who has been around for centuries and centuries, and we're being unfairly targeted. It is just not right. It's un-American. And we are probably the most discriminated minority in the entire United States. And it's just not the American way. So I plead to every brick and mortar, every retailer, support the manufacturers that support you. They don't have to be a well-known brand or whatever, but you know who they are. The manufacturers support you. And reach out to every consumer. And it's easy, as Jose said, all that it takes is a click on their cell phone or something to reach out to the representative. And if we're able to improve that situation with reaching out to more consumers, then I think that we have a good fighting chance. It's about the consumers. And that was the original goal, the principles of setting up CRA. It was not about a cigar manufacturing association. You have that with Cigar Association of America. It was about bringing the consumers in. And the original intention was if you manufacture with finances supported to get it going, and the board will be turned over totally to consumers. That never took place. We did not get the support. And if we would have, things would have been much different now. But it's never too late. It's never too late for all the big boys to join us, to come and fight our fight for the things that we have in common. I understand that there's always going to be things that there's different interests and so forth. But for the things we have in common, the doors are open. We'll always welcome you. And one of the things that I'm going to say again, and I know that my father always said, Carlito, they may chew you, but they will never swallow you. But I have to say it because my father's probably looking down at me and I'm his son. And that is that it frustrates me so much when I reach out to so many retailers that are very, very close to me and are honest with me. And I ask them for support and they say, Carlito, you, CRA, PCA, or RTD at the time will never accomplish any kind of relief. So-and-so sales manager from the big company, the big boys who they look up to as supposedly being our godfathers of the industry, said that we were going to fail, say that it was impossible, that we could not achieve it. Yet those big boys that they were referring to who discouraged retailers for supporting us today do not have warning labels on their boxes. Today, they don't have to meet that SC. Today, so many things have changed through the hard work of so many manufacturers, brick and mortar retailers, and consumers, because there have been a lot of consumers that have given us huge support and have been volunteered always. So there is a path to victory. There is a path to protection, but we all have to unite.
Craig,
Yes, sir.
you ready for the nasty part of the day?
I'm really not.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we get there, I got to announce that we are broadcasted out of Basel, Switzerland. So none of the politically correct crap applies to this show. Craig,
Yes, sir.
you're in the hot spot. Melanie, you're on.
Hi, Craig.
Melanie, I'm scared of you.
Oh, Lord, please don't be scared of me. That sounds scary enough. All right. So, how are you? How's it going?
I'm doing great.
Hopefully, you've only heard great things, about me.
I've heard great things, and you're obviously in a beautiful venue there. Where are you, Florida?
Yes, this is Naples, South Florida. This is like the subtropics area, so we're always hot. And this is my house. Yes. Where are you? I like your that painting back there.
Thank you. So,
All right, go ahead.
I'm on the hot spot, huh?
Yes. So I have a couple of questions. We'll see how fast you can get through the first one.
Okay.
What is your most embarrassing moment at one of your cigar events?
Let's see. Ironically, I had one the end of last year that I've laughed about a dozen times. I was at one of my events, and typically we have a table set up, and I'm working the crowd with the manufacturer. And I came up to the table from behind, and there were two guys with long hair, and they were shaped like women from behind. And I came up and I said, "Ladies, thank you for being here. How can I assist you?" When they turned around, it was two guys with beards. And obviously, I did not make a sale. That was pretty embarrassing.
That is hilarious on many different levels right now.
Carlito, you're on mute.
Wait, I have to say this. I know I shouldn't. I have to say this. Thank God this is not a political show, and you didn't do a Joe Biden. Go up and just kiss him behind the neck and everything. Thank you for coming, I can't imagine. Oh my God,
It was the worst. It was the
I'm
worst.
getting really thinking about that.
Looked like two women.
Very good.
Oh.
That's a good one. That's a good one, Melanie.
All right. So another question I had for you was, I love to ask this to retailers, is what is your favorite character story to tell, or just that maybe you didn't tell it, but it's one of the best. We have the characters that walk in. Everybody's
I mean, characters, industry characters.
more like lounge characters.
God, the lounges, Melanie. Lounges are both a blessing and a curse. You know what I mean? And we, it's very hard to talk about your lounge people, because really, retail stores are like the modern day version of the old country store, or more modern, like Cheers, right?
Yeah.
And people come in every day, and we all have the same issues across the country. You have the funny guys, you have the mean guys, you have the, all sorts of characters. And
This is why it's called the hot spot. Go ahead.
I know it's very hard to talk about my characters, but man, we've had fights break out. We've had, especially in this political season. So I'll tell you, I'm sorry, I can't talk about my characters, but
We don't need names.
I can tell you it's
Abstract story.
story. Let's see here. I'll tell you what, this is not an embarrassing story. This is a sweet story. I won't, and Carlito will love this. Last year, we had a gentleman celebrate his 96th birthday with a cigar in my lounge. 96, Carlito.
Okay.
You're not going to do that to me. I know he's trying to make me go down a negative path.
Hey, I still have 24 years to go before.
Oh no.
Go on, Craig. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go on, please.
No, that was it. That was it.
I can't imagine the shit you're going through, and knowing you being so. That's what the impression you give all of us, being so conservative, being so down to earth, such a good family man, and always being Mr. Correct, Mr. Impeccable. I could imagine the shit that you've seen. You've seen a fight. I was laughing. Thank God the thing was on mute. It was embarrassing. They're almost finished.
You've seen a fight.
I'll tell you, for me with the lounge, honestly, I think my job is not to be in the lounge and be the entertainer. So I want the lounges to be self-policing. Those guys enjoy their time back there, and I'm hiding out front.
Okay. Next question.
Use your own imagination.
All right. So then, I think it was in the beginning you were talking about how, guys tend to go in and they think a certain way. Oh, I can do this, but then it's not really like that. So what was the thing that you thought when you first walked in, when you knew, before you got into doing this, but you were like, oh, I can do this?
I think before you fall in love with the product, you got to want to be an entrepreneur. Melanie, I mean, it's a commodity. I mean, you've got great sunglasses on, a dress, it's shoes, it's whatever. It's a commodity, right? But our commodity is different. It's made with passion. And, it's like any business. All we do is, retailers build beautiful stores. They buy the best brands in the world, and all we do is sell them. So for me, it's exactly what it seems like, right? You have good relationship with manufacturers, you put product on the shelf, and you sell it. That's it. It's pretty simple. Pretty simple business. If we didn't have Carlito heckling us from the side here, like this conversation, it would be very simple.
Oh, really? Well, it sounds like you have the most amazing lounge ever. I'm gonna have to come up and visit soon.
I wish you would. It'd be a blast.
Craig, let me put it to you this way. When fellow retailers call you, and you have to understand that we all understand that there's companies, big companies, that go out and buy shops, which a lot of retailers say, well, they shouldn't, bada bing, bada bang, but it's okay. But when retailers call you up and say that certain company that wasn't in the retail business, all of a sudden are opening up these mega stores to compete with them right in the middle of a good place, where it's in Texas or in Jersey or Pennsylvania, whatever it is, what do you tell those people? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll tell you, I don't mind competition, Jose. I will go head to head with anyone. And you know what? Competition brings out the best in people, right? And so when you have competition, you've got to step your game up. And if a large manufacturer opens a store near us, in fact, I'm in Charlotte, there is a manufacturer store near me. But you know what? The way I look at it, it makes us better. If they're good operators, listen, it's very difficult if you're an owner operator in your stores to let a company run business put you out of business. If you own it and your blood, sweat, and tears is in that small business, how can someone else send a guy or girl in to run a store 5 miles from you and beat you at your own game? Shame on you. You should lose the game. So in a level playing field, when you're in a state and you're paying state taxes and we all build stores and we promote our business, I'll go head to head with anybody. And you know what? Sometimes people have more capital, but if you have the passion, you're on the front line every day like I am, like many of the good operators are, I'll go head to head with anybody. Where I do have a problem is if I'm in a state and someone is shipping into my state with the benefit of not paying the appropriate OTP tax in that state, that's an unfair advantage,
Absolutely.
right? If you're not paying OTP and you're not paying sales tax, and that's my competition, that's very difficult. That's hard to overcome, no matter how loyal the consumer is. But head to head in a state at brick and mortar, I'll go with anybody.
You hear over and over, Craig, you're absolutely right. You hear over and over again in every news program is the United States of America, that we're all one, this United States. But that is one situation that is very unfair to the brick and mortar retailer, to have unfair competition. We should have a level playing field for everyone. That's my belief. I've said it over and over again. It's not a matter of business or who my customers are. It's a matter of principle. It's a matter of my philosophy in life. It should be a fair play for everyone, and then let the best man win. Yeah. I really believe in that sincerely, and I understand, and my heart goes out to you and all the brick and mortars who have to struggle with, they do an event or something, and then all of a sudden, they give the personal touch. People love you, and then tomorrow they're buying something out of state, being shipped to them the next day for manufacturer's costs, maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows? It does happen. Okay, it doesn't happen every day, but it does happen. And they're going to your customers, and that's one of my biggest concerns about these big mega companies going into every neighborhood, every corner, is that they just pick, they're there, but they pick up names, but eventually they own these big Amazons, and maybe it's what's going to be, or, it's going to be the evil that will destroy my industry. It may very possibly be. Maybe it's something that we cannot face because it's so powerful. But I just believe as a little David against Goliath, that we got to stand by our principles and stick together. And
Yeah.
I really believe, Craig, and that every retailer listening, consumer and everything, if we stick together, we could form our own community and we could survive. We need to form our own community because, as you said before, they're doing their job and we're doing our job. We respect them. They're the most intelligent people in the world, but we have to survive. And we're looking for our own personal interests in protecting our legacy, our tradition, an industry that goes back centuries and everything. We're protecting the mom and pops, which I think is a fiber that build the greatest country in the world. And I've said that many times, and the show is yours. So I don't want to keep speaking because I could speak for hours on this.
Well, I agree with you. And I think, look, it's survival of the fittest. And it's big business. It's the European conglomerates, Melware, it's big business. So I agree. I understand why the messaging is different. Totally get it. If I was an executive, I've had the exact same position, but I just feel like it is a tough, unfair, unlevel playing field. But if I encourage consumers that no matter where you are, and you could be here in Charlotte, anywhere, support your local stores. It's very important. Those are people that many times they put their houses up as collateral to build the businesses. And there are local stores pretty much in any city in the country. So support those people. And we all have to earn the right for you guys and gals to come in and buy a cigar from us. So please do support the local stores, Carlito. And I'm with you 100%, buddy.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you very much. As I am with you.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the day we're going to have to get the wacky man on the show. No one else than Senor
Carolina,
Rich.
Georgia. We have Tennessee on the show. We have North Carolina. Now we're going just a little bit. We're going to Georgia, the hot spot. That is the hot spot today. In the news every day, Georgia.
I gotta drop a special
Georgia
poster
on my
for
mind.
Rich. All right, Rich, you're on, buddy.
All right, guys. Hi, Craig.
Hey, Rich, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fine. We go back as long as I've been in this industry, I guess.
Yes, sir.
But this industry is not unlike the apparel industry that I left after 44 years and wound up doing this wonderful.
Let me say
industry.
something. No, thank God you got out of the apparel industry because when I see the shirts you're wearing, it's not a good idea.
Are you kidding? I only have 185 Paisley shirts. I'm just, my inventory is a little low. But when I started in this business, I started meeting these cigar smokers that own cigar stores, and I met guys like Craig. And people say, "What do you think is going on out there?" I said, "Well, I just met a young man who's a businessman running a cigar shop." I said, "It's going to be much more successful than a cigar guy trying to run a business." I said it 10, 12 years ago, and I still mean that. The other thing is, your sister's still cuter than you are. And I'll see her as soon as I'm back out on the road with anti-COVID stuff going on. Craig, you said that you guys are selling cigars, but I think Abe said it best. You guys are selling a lifestyle. Just as in the clothing business, the apparel we put together was for a specific lifestyle, and you're doing a lifestyle, which is something that we all enjoy. It's a disposable product, but it's repurchased all the time. Talking about PCA and the CRA, everybody needs to get involved. Many years ago, I met a chap by the name of Joe Rowe down in Columbus, Georgia. And I said, "Joe, I've only been in business a short time, but I see 5 to 8 stores every day. A lot of them have no idea what IPCPR was, or RTDA back then, I guess. Why don't you put together a package so all the road guys, when they go into a store, they can try to stimulate these stores to become members." And the same thing with CRA. If we start to lose battles or we lose the war, in my opinion, if the U.S. goes, so goes the world. The companies in Mexico, Honduras, Nicaragua, Brazil, Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, Cameroon will all suffer by losing the American market. We have a lot of people watching the show from around the world, and their support for what we're doing here, trying to save premium cigars, will affect the entire world. Okay, back to why I'm on the show. A couple of friends of mine, Joe and his girlfriend Sally, been dating a while, and they've never been intimate, but he said, why don't we get married? And she said, before we do, there's something I have to tell you. He said, what's that? She says, I have a rare disease that my breasts have never stopped. They stopped growing when I was 12 years old. So I have the bosom of a 12-year-old. He goes, well, I can learn to live with that, but you've got to learn to live with the fact that my penis is that of an infant. And she went, well, I guess so. Well, they get married finally and rush to the hotel. And she reaches into his pants and screams and yells and runs into the other room. He says, what's the matter? She says, you said it was an infant. He says, yes, it is. 8 pounds, 7 ounces, 19 inches. Is El Papa de Humo blushing again? Yes, he is. Okay.
Look, I'm blushing, yes.
My goodness.
I'll be
Rich,
right up for
oh,
next
wonderful.
week.
Thank you very much. Thank God we're broadcasted out of Switzerland.
Yes.
Wow.
Rich, I've heard these jokes for a few weeks now.
That's
If you had a joke every time you came in to sell me cigars, you would have doubled your volume.
yes. I agree.
Well, you know what? After I've been in the business a short time, visiting with you in the store, I got what I thought was a compliment, but the palate said, think about it carefully, because you said, you know what, Rich? I see you more driving up here from Georgia than I see all these local reps. You're here more often. And then I said, well, thank you very much. And Daryl said, I don't know if that was a compliment. So it was okay to have that compliment from you.
That's
I
my
appreciate it.
Daryl. We call him the palate, Carlito.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Craig, for us today, it has been a huge pleasure and honor to have you. You are one of the most respected retailers in the country. You have fought side by side all the fights for FDA, smoking bans, taxes, and done a lot at the TAA and also at the IPCPR and now PCA. Thank you for honoring us here, being on the show. We've known each other for a while, and we still have a lot of years to continue. So I think Carlito and Jeremiah have also something to say.
Well, thank you, Craig. I appreciate it very much. I knew this was going to be an incredible show, and you have so much to contribute. I appreciate, listen, I have the highest respect, as I said earlier, admiration, and I consider you a true friend and a brother. I'm so grateful for all your sacrifice, all that you have given of your time, unselfishly. And I just wish you and your family the very best. I hope that we could be friends for a lifetime. You're a very special human being. God bless you and yours.
Thank you, Carlito.
Keep fighting, my brother. You know that we're back to back. And back to back, I mean, it's like those ninjas. They fight back to back. It doesn't matter how big the opponents are. We're going to stick together to the end.
Well, I'll follow you into the battle anytime. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
And Jeremiah, pleasure to be with you as well, sir. Thank you.
No, Craig, it's a true honor and pleasure. I was honored and not surprised, but pleased to spend an hour with a gentleman, someone who's shared a lot with us today, and your ways are very special, Craig. I understand why Jose and Carlito were speaking so highly of you, and I just can't wait that we share a moment together, and I continue discovering the wonderful person that this Craig was on the show today. It was really an honor, and I thank you very, very much for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me. And Jose, thank you for your friendship. And Melanie, thank you for not hurting me too bad. Okay.
Exactly. All right, Melanie, can you please make sure that everybody knows out there how they have to log on and see the show again? Because I'm sure quite a lot of people will want to see a rerun of Craig.
That's true. Well, I'm going to say, Craig, you are definitely not out of the hot spot yet. We are going to get it right. All right. So today, guys, you know what? Actually, right now, after the show, like, go ahead and just go straight to YouTube. It's tinyurl.com/The Professor Show, and you can subscribe to our show. It's so awesome. You'll even see our shows as they're playing live there on YouTube. I know. All right, so then the next thing you have to do, actually you can do this now or later, but go to our Facebook page and hit the like button, and be sure to leave us a comment, a review, or even send us a message and say what you would like to ask the professor, so that you can nail the professor. If you send a message there, or if you send an email to winmoreswag@gmail.com, then I will be looking at it, and I can also pull that up. Just put in the subject line, nail the professor. That way I can coordinate those properly. Now, I believe that is everything that I need to say, although there are some awesome things coming up next. I think it is Ladies of the Leaf Day. Shout out to Cynthia. I know that her and Michi are going to be on the Casa Cuba virtual show coming up in an hour, I believe. So be sure to catch that. And thank you for joining us, and always come back for another hotspot session.
Thank you, Melanie. All right, people. Let's find out what's on the agenda for next week. Jose?
Well, it's going to be a surprise, because there's still some work that Carlito and I have to have, because there's a conflict of time with a couple of people. But during the week, latest Tuesday, you will see on our Meet the Professor, on my Facebook, on Jeremiah, Carlitos, Melanie's. So we'll have a good show for you, that we can promise, as always. So keep it smoky, guys.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it was another Fuente Marifel present Meet the Professor, and it was a pleasure spending our Sunday with you, as always. Make sure to tune in next week, same place, same time. And remember, if you don't do it with passion, don't do it at all. Bye-bye for now. Bye, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks for joining. We appreciate you.
Carlito, stay for a minute.
Thank you, Craig. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Take care, Craig. Have a great rest of the weekend.
See you later.
See you soon, Craig.
Everybody, God bless.
Hey.
God bless.